Hello everyone, and welcome to this discussion of how to use Zoom for online or distance education. Now we're going to break our discussion of how to use Zoom into two pieces. The first will be how to use Zoom to attend a lecture or class discussion, and the second will be how to use Zoom to record a presentation. Let's go ahead and start with how we use Zoom to attend one of our formal class sessions. So to do that, we're going to start by simply finding the Zoom meeting area, which will be in a different place in each course. So you're going to have to either look around or talk to your professor and find out where he or she has put this tool. So here's a couple of examples. In this course, the professor has put Zoom meetings on our main menu, so it's really easy to find and really easy to bring up. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And it is set up so that you can get to the Zoom meetings right up here at the top. You'll see this little tools area that tells you that you're going into Zoom. So in this course, everything's been put together. It's pretty easy to find. Now, not all of the courses will work like that. Some courses may not have the Zoom room or Zoom meeting area in such a clearly labeled place. Let's take a look at another example. In this course, the professor hasn't created a separate Zoom link, but has instead created a link for distance education, which contains all of his links for the things that have been changed due to no longer meeting on campus. If I click on that link, you'll see a different setup this time. He's called his Zoom area class sessions, since that's what he intends to primarily use Zoom for. But you can tell that it's still that same place by seeing this tools area logo. So once again, this is the link that will take you into your Zoom sessions. So I could click on that class sessions. For this course, I could go back and click on Zoom meetings in the other course. But before we go into Zoom, let me show you one last way to find the Zoom tool. And that's if you either don't know or can't remember where your professor has put the link. So to do that, we click on Tools. And this lists all sorts of options that your course may be using. Right at the bottom is a link to the Zoom tool. That's where it is for our university. Different universities may have it in different places, but there will be a link to Zoom somewhere in here. And I'm going to go ahead, since I'm in here, and use this link, but it will take me to the same web page whether I click on it here or on the links that the professor has provided. Now that I'm in Zoom, getting into a session is really straightforward and easy. Different professors, of course, will name them different things. The important tool is actually this one right here. So I'm going to click on Join, and that's going to take me right into Zoom. The way that you do this depends on whether or not you want Zoom installed on your computer or if you'd like to use it through your browser. And we're going to start with the browser option first because I think it's the easiest. If you want to use the browser option, you'll close the pop-up menu. After you close the pop-up window, then you'll click here to launch the meeting. And you'll say cancel. I don't want to launch the app. Instead, I want to start from my browser. You're then given a choice. You can use your audio from your computer, or you can call in. And either way works. Personally, I prefer doing it through the computer because I think that's faster and easier. It's also easier to interact with the professor that way. However, if you're having trouble with your browser speed or other issues, then you can certainly use the phone call option. I'm going to go ahead and join by audio. Personally, when I come into a room, I cover or turn off my webcam because I don't want to come into the room with my webcam going. Now, in this case, the professor set it up so that the webcam didn't turn on automatically, but some don't have that option. So please cover it with a piece of paper or your finger just to make sure that you don't end up showing your messy room or what you're wearing or your hair is still crazy from your workout or whatever to everybody in the class. Then once you're in the room, then right down here you can click on Start Video to turn your video on, or if it's already on and you want it off, then go ahead and turn it off. Personally, I think you should default to off until you find out what the professor wants. You probably will want to do the same thing with your microphone. Mine's on right now, but I don't want it to be on until the professor invites me to talk because I don't want it to capture ambient noise, or if I'm clacking really loud on my keyboard, or worst case scenario, you can start a feedback loop where your microphone is picking up from your speakers and it just creates a loop. So I think it's also a good idea to hit that mute button and turn that off until you're invited to participate by the professor. The other thing I recommend doing is clicking on a couple of buttons. So this button allows you to see the participants. The other thing that you can do from this menu, you can mute and unmute yourself up here. You can also rename yourself so that your professor knows who you are. Often if you log in through Gmail or Yahoo or even your university address, if you haven't got it pre-programmed to show your name, it will show your email address as opposed to your name, and then your professor won't know that you're there. Down at the bottom are some voting options. So your professor may ask you if you want to vote. Yes, I get it. No, I don't get it. Please go faster or slower. There'll often be an option to raise your hand as well so that you can signal to your instructor that you want to ask a question. Unfortunately, I don't have that option on mine because I am the professor, so I don't get a raise hand option. But look for that as well, and it should be down in either these tools or under this More option. Here's where you find that Raise Your Hand tool. The other tool that I recommend that you open is your Chat tool. Now, this tool is really helpful in a lot of different ways. First, the professor may ask questions of everyone and ask that you answer in the chat room. Often I'll ask my students to type in their name and the time they logged in for participation points. So that might be a possibility there as well. You might also use this option to answer questions or ask questions if you don't want your voice on the video. And some of us really don't like being recorded. So I understand that, and most professors will as well. Also, if you click right here, you'll have the option to change who you post to. In this case, we can only post to everyone because I'm the only one in the room, but you'll have the option to post to just the host or to everybody as a class. To leave a meeting, we click right here, and this option to end the meeting is for the host or the professor only. You'll have the option to leave the meeting. So now let's go back and do it the other way. I'm going to go ahead and click on Join. And I'm going to click on Open Zoom. And it should bring it right up for you. And you go ahead and join with computer audio. Same tools. I can manage participants, and chat brings up the individuals who are there and gives me those tools. And there's my chat option. Same exact control that I had before. So it doesn't matter which option you use, as long as you're just attending a meeting. You can go through the browser or you can open up the actual application. When you do have to go into the application is when you need to record a presentation. So if that's what you're doing, I'm going to go ahead and close out of this meeting. And yes, I'm going to leave the meeting. And this is the login screen. So in order to record a Zoom meeting, you'll click on Sign In. And it's going to bring me to the main Zoom screen. And from here, I can do everything I want with Zoom. So you have a couple of different options here. If you want to schedule a time to meet with your group, then you're going to go ahead and hit Schedule. You'll name it ACE Group Presentation. And you choose your time that you're going to start, how much time you'll need. It defaults to an hour, but if you think you might have 2 or 3 false starts and stops and have to take some time to discuss and prepare, you may want to give yourself a 2 or 3 hour buffer just to be sure, and then choose the time zone that you're in. And then I make sure my video is going to be off, the participants' video is going to be off. I'm going to give everyone the option for telephone and computer audio. You decide, are you going to send it through Outlook or Google Calendar? I'm going to use Outlook. And then I make sure that Enable Join Before Host, so if my group members get there before I do, they can still get in. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Schedule. And that will do 2 things. It will create this Zoom meeting, but it'll also bring up the Create an Event Calendar invitation. And you can click right here, right under the title, choose a couple of people to invite to my group. You can go ahead and click on Send. And they're going to either get this as an email or as an Outlook calendar item, depending on how they've got it set up in their system. But all they'll need to do is click on this button, and it brings them directly to your meeting. When you're in the meeting, go ahead and have your discussion, visit with each other, turn on your video and your audio as needed. And then when you're ready to actually record, you're going to hit this button right here. And it will record everything that you want to say. It will transition between group members automatically. If you're using video, I recommend giving a bit of a lag. So if I'm coming up to speak and my teammate John has been speaking, then I'm going to take the presentation by saying all right or okay or even just a cough. We'll tell the system that it's going to transition to me. Pause for just a second until your video turns on, and then you can make your presentation. And then when you're done speaking yourself, if you'll turn off your audio and your video, if you've had it on, then when your next teammate coughs or says that first word, it will transition to them and not try to stay on you. When you're done and everyone's presented or you've finished your presentation, then you click on stop recording. And then it's going to tell you, I'm not going to make your video right now, I will make it later. And so you just say, yes, please send me an email when you're done with my recording so that I can get to it. Just be aware, it will not actually start processing your recording until you leave the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the meeting. And this time, because I'm the host, instead of just leaving the meeting, whoever's running it needs to end it, because that's what starts your video actually rendering. The other option that I want to show you is if everybody's already there and ready to go and you've been chatting on the phone, you're like, let's just do this, then you can just click on New Meeting. Fair warning, if I were to just click on New Meeting, it would automatically open up my app with my video and my audio all going. I don't want to have video going until I know I'm ready to be on video. So instead, I'm going to click right here and get rid of that Start with Video. There we go. And then I'm going to go into my meeting just to be safe. I'm going to join with computer audio. And then, since I just started my meeting, I can't send that email like I did before to tell people when to join in. So instead, I'm going to hit this invite button right here. And it will let you go through your contacts. You can send an email to people. You have several different options there. Default email will usually send Outlook, or you can use your Gmail account. The other way you can do this is you can just click copy the URL, and then you can create your own email that's a little less formal and just send the link to everybody. Once people are in your room, then you probably want to share your screen so that you can share a PowerPoint or a website or Excel, etc. If you want to share a file, then you click on the green Share Screen button, and you have a couple of options. You have the option to share entire screens, which would allow you to toggle back and forth between PowerPoint and Excel or a PDF by just using the Alt-Tab command and going through the open windows on your screen, or you can limit it to just one app. And if you do that, then in order to move from PowerPoint to Excel, you'd have to stop sharing, come back in, share again to choose the other option. So it's usually a good choice to use a single application if you know I'm going to stay in PowerPoint for the whole time, or if you know you want to move between applications, then to choose a whole screen and just make sure that on that screen you have all of the programs you intend to use. If you want to do a PowerPoint presentation, you can see down here I have already got my PowerPoint presentation up and running in presentation mode, and then I have two options. I can show the presentation, which is called slideshow, or I can show the notes page and what's coming next, and you probably don't want to use that one, so make sure you choose the right one to share, and that's now what's going to show up for my participants. Once you get into sharing mode, somewhere on your screen you will see still your control bar for Zoom. Now, if you have only one screen, because you're doing this on your laptop, it'll just show up at the top of your screen. I have two screens going. I have one screen that's sharing the actual PowerPoint presentation, and the other screen that's got my notes on it. And you can see it's up at the top of this notes screen that it's actually sharing my control menu for Zoom. You run this exactly the same way. Under the more options, you'll see your chat room, your record on this computer, record on the cloud, etc. But you'll also have a pause share and a stop share button for when you're ready to either switch applications or when you're all done sharing. When you hit record through the app, you have two choices. One is to record onto Zoom's website, which I actually don't recommend, and it's one good reason to use the app instead of the browser for the host. But you can also record directly to your computer, and I think this is the best option because you know you're going to get access to it. You're not going to lose anything. You don't have to pay extra for storage. It's just going to store on a file in your computer. So I'm going to record on this computer. and I'll make a couple of comments. I'll do my presentation. If you need to pause your presentation and talk to your group about something and then come back and start it again, you can pause and then resume and keep making your presentation. When you're done, you're going to stop the recording, and again, it's not going to convert it or create your MP4 file until you're done with the meeting. So I'm going to hit end meeting, and again, since I'm the host and I'm the one making the video, I'm going to end meeting for all, and then it's going to pop up a little progress bar that shows you it's creating your video. In this case, our video was really short, so the bar was only there for just half a second. But if you were to record a 10-minute video or a 30-minute video, then it would take a few minutes. And when all is said and done, we'll bring up a file folder like this one, and this file right here, that's your actual MP4 file, and that's what you would submit to your professor. The last thing I'm going to recommend you do is that you rename your file so that you don't lose it. I'm going to name this, and then I probably will actually move it into the file folder where I want to keep it, and then I'll be able to find it very, very easily instead of having to go back and try to find a Zoom folder somewhere on my computer. Now, hopefully that helps you feel a little bit more comfortable with Zoom, how it works, how to use it to record presentations, etc. If you've still got questions, talk to your professor. If not, well, I'll see you next time. Thanks.